somewhat late, but definitely not forgotten about. This is my review of Chikara's Eye to Eye, and through Savage Progress cuts the jungle line. My initial reaction would be, this show was overrated from what the reviews that I have seen, and this show was not. This show was definitely not. This, in my mind, is Chikara's show of the year. Just putting that out there. I think my problem with this show was there really wasn't any real advancement in terms of story, I don't think. Unless I'm forgetting something, and that would really be an embarrassment upon myself, the closest thing to advancement on this show was the BDK retaining again, which, you know, might do its little part to make their eventual loss all the more satisfying. But even that's a stretch as far as saying this show had any advancement to it. I really don't think it does, unless I'm really forgetting something, and I hope I'm not. But, you know, Chikara has had these shows where you can tell it's the first night of a 2-night weekend, basically. But I think Chikara should work towards the goal of having at least some storyline advancement on every show. You know, it doesn't have to be especially significant. You know, from the formation of the BDK up until their peak at King of Trios, Chikara had made things very easy for themselves. You know, just because all the time that the BDK were winning a match, it felt like it was advancing the story because the BDK were getting stronger with every single win. Now it's a little more difficult for them, I'm not going to lie about that. It is harder to have that going on, but I think it should still be a continuous goal to bring that kind of atmosphere to every show. Watching this show and seeing some of the throwaway matches on here, I really felt like some of the Friday night shows could do well with maybe a 5 or 6 match card and maybe more promos. Don't think that's really unreasonable. You know, I know that with an indie company, you want to book as many people as you can because a lot of those guys would miss the paycheck if they didn't get booked. I do understand that. But you can put the full match card out there for the live crowd and then maybe have some more promo time on the DVDs. Maybe, I don't know. There are problems with that, you know, because I think there is an appreciation for the fact that Chikara guys don't go out there and cut a promo stating the obvious, you know, as far as what's going on in the storyline, like they sometimes do elsewhere. But at the same time, they're not WWE and TNA. You know, they're not on TV every week. It might not hurt to have some of that going on. I don't know. I know it sounds like I don't really know what I want, don't really know what I'm asking for, but I do know that I didn't really think too much of this show, and I think there are ways to improve upon that. So just putting that out there. Talking about the Manami Toyota versus Daizee Haze match, I thought the match was very fun. I thought just to see her go out there and hit all her signature spots and the like was fun, and I definitely have no complaints with them doing the match like that. It's a very fun way of doing it. I think to call this a great match, though, is a little naive, to be honest, because to me what would have made this match great was to have Daizee Haze go out there and be treated more like an equal, to be honest, because I don't think anyone was expecting that. I don't think anyone would have expected that at all. I think that people will be really surprised and will just be left thinking, wow, they're really going for it. You know, what they did here, I think, was pretty much exactly what everyone expected they would do, which is not a problem, but you could have really created a wow factor by making this feel a little more like Joe versus Kobashi. I'm not saying this had similar set of circumstances to Joe versus Kobashi, because it clearly didn't. Maybe if it happened 5 years ago it would have, but not right now. But as it stands, this was just a kind of a fun match to have Toyota in on your show, but not a great match. I don't think you can call this a great match in my mind. That's my take on how you could have made this a great match. Just saying. And then to the Campeonatos de Parejas title match. To be honest, I thought this was very redundant. I guess the fact that Sabato was defeated at Young Lions Cup means that we're not going to see him anymore. Not saying that doesn't make sense, but I do think that that means you have to go the extra mile to create drama in this match. And I don't think they really did that, to be honest. I think even the way the 3.0 got their second pinfall, to me, was just a reminder that, you know, hey, we're the lovable losers and we're starting to get better, we're starting to get more momentum, but this is still too big for us. So I think that's what I got from it. And I really didn't kind of get excited for the closing sequence of the match because I pretty much knew how it was going to turn out. I don't think it would have been too damaging for the BDK to have 3.0 get a strong second fall win, and it would definitely have made the run up to the third fall a lot more exciting. And you could have created some belief that 3.0 might have won, even though in the end that wouldn't have happened. So that's kind of where the tag team title match kind of fell flat for me. Overall, I would still say this is a good show, just I wouldn't recommend it. I don't think this is a essential show if you want to follow the storyline, and I don't think there's anything especially special on here apart from the fact that Toyota is on here. But if you want to see Toyota on Chikara, this is definitely a much better show to buy, definitely a much better show to watch in general, because this is a very, very highly recommended show. This to me is Chikara's show of the year. I was actually loving this show a lot to begin with, even more than the reviews I've seen. It kind of slowed down a little bit in the middle, but nowhere near enough to put a damper on the main event. The main event is tremendous. The main event, I think, you know, some people have said that it represents this amazing, intelligent super narrative. I don't buy into that myself, but there was definitely enough of that going on to make the action parts just a lot of fun. A lot of fun. There's too much fun in this to not give it a great rating in my mind. You know, I love this match, and to be honest, I was loving the show at the beginning portion. You know, you had two really fun matches, and then some storyline advancement with UltraMantis in between. And then we move on to the Soul Touchaz, which to me, I don't know if I said this already, but these guys were on a height of fun this whole weekend. You know, for some reason, even though I don't think they did anything special or beyond what they've been doing so far this season, just for me, I was just so into them on this show. I thought they really kind of stepped it up a little bit in their own kind of way on these shows, because their matches were just really fun in my mind. So just pointing that out there, those guys, I hope we get to see more of them, because either I'm getting more into them, or they're getting better. It's either one, because these guys were on a height this weekend. Just putting that out there. And then we had Aries versus Kingston. To me, I really liked this, to be honest, because I think I was appreciating Aries as a less obvious kind of fanatic to Pink Ant. You know, just watching him fail to put Kingston away with pinfall after pinfall, I think he sold that really well. I think we were seeing that come out of him. You know, he's kind of, you can kind of believe that from him, because he's the guy who has to kind of control Delirious. It's probably not a very happy job, and you can kind of get that from him. You know, Pinkie Sanchez, sometimes when he's on form, he's amazing, but sometimes I think he's kind of hit and miss. I think sometimes he goes too far. You know, Aries, I think, could actually do a better job in some situations with that kind of personality. Just putting that out there. And then I think it's duly noted how the BDK lost every match on this show, apart from the Aries Kingston match. And then you had Kingston lose it after the match was over. And I think that kind of tells a pretty vivid story of what we're going to see the next time we see Claudio versus Kingston. So looking forward to that myself. I think what kind of slowed this show down for me were the two matches before the main event. You know, Unstable versus The Future Is Now. Wasn't really feeling this a lot, and the reunion after the match, whilst it was again storyline progression, these guys haven't really done as much. They haven't really done any interesting stuff this year at all, and seeing them together to me is just kind of there. I guess it was well done, but the guys involved just weren't kind of attention grabbing to me, so that was just kind of there. Was just kind of waiting for that to be over, to be honest. And then we had Pink Ant versus Frightmare, which I thought just kind of under-delivered a lot. You know, didn't have any of the drama I normally come to expect from a Frightmare match. Just really wasn't into it that much. So that was kind of what slowed the show down. If it weren't for those two little dampers, I probably would have given this an amazing score, because I was just really loving the show up until that point. But then we have the main event, and the main event, of course, puts this show over the top. All I can say is, and I'm actually going to spoil a spot in the match, my favourite spot in the match right now, because I can't help myself, so you can turn it off if you like. But when Claudio went to give Toyota his airplane spin, I was just thinking to myself, no, he is not going to do this. And then he did it, and Toyota came back with a rolling cradle pin. I love that. I love that because the rolling cradle that move to me is one of my pet peeves in wrestling in general, because I never think it's done at the right point in the match. Every time I see it, I think it kind of disjoints the match in its own little way, and it always manages to piss me off. Even when Kobashi would do that in the prime of his career, it would still manage to piss me off for some reason. I don't really know why, but it always managed to do that. And then this was one of the times where it actually worked, and I loved it all the more because of that. So I cannot say enough about this match. I cannot say enough about this show, in all honesty. It's a great show. Buy the show, watch the show, it's amazing stuff. All my star ratings are down there in the description, and I will see you guys later. Peace.